everyone, and welcome back to That's It. So, this is my second episode, and I'm going to talk about who killed Jeffrey Epstein. Have you ever wondered how Jeffrey Epstein made his millions? Like, how did he make his money? Well, you guys, in the 1990s, Epstein found a well-known billionaire called Leslie Wexner. Now, I didn't know who Leslie Wexner was, but he is a well-found retail typhoon that owns so many companies, okay, and department stores in the mall like Victoria's Secret, Limited, um, Agriculture and Fitch, among other department stores. You name it, he owns several of them. So I was very curious how Epstein and Wexler met. I didn't get the full detail how Epstein knew this well-known billionaire, because he's a billionaire, but what was the relationship was? Did Wexler hire him to do like stock markets or something in his company? I'm not quite 100% sure, but it seemed like Wexler trusted him so much that he let Epstein was running the investment funds, excuse me, his trust funds foundation. Like he really trusted this dude to the point that he made Epstein full power of attorney. You guys, full power of attorney, which that allows Epstein to make financial decisions of $250 million of stock transaction. That's how much Wexler trusted Epstein. But why? The $1 million question is why? Why not his children? Why he couldn't have his children be power of attorney or anyone? But why Epstein? And they were not even that close, according to people who knew Wexler. You know what I mean? They were not even that close. But why? The $1 million question is why. And it's not like Wexler was like some dummy or he lost his marbles or he was just some old senile guy that Epstein took advantage of. This man was very sharp, very like smart man. But the question is why? Why did Jeffrey Epstein had something on Wexler to the point that Wexler made a deal with Jeffrey Epstein? So whatever Jeffrey Epstein knew that he didn't want to be exposed, like what was it? I will never know. We will never know. But it doesn't make any sense to me unless Epstein had something on him, some dirt. Because Epstein was victorious of recordings, cameras in his private jet, cameras in his home, you know, pictures, you name it. He probably had it in his safe. So that's the only conclusion that I can think of why Wexler would do that, because it seemed like Epstein had something on him. And I feel like that's how Epstein made his money, because he sure didn't make his money overnight. Okay? He basically blackmailed Wexler because, Jeffrey Epstein, he's good at conning people and convincing people of things to get what he wants, because he wanted everything. He wanted what other people had. So he wanted the same thing because he was tired of being poor and broke. So what he did, he probably got some leverage against Wexler, and Wexler back was on the corner, and he had to do it because he didn't want his dirty little secret, whatever it was or is, to be exposed. He didn't want people to know his little dirty secret. And what his little dirty little secret is, I don't know. I have no idea. I have no clue what it is. Okay? Only two people will know that. Epstein, which he's dead, and Leslie Wexler. So that's how, Jeffrey Epstein made it to rag to riches. And sure enough, he was rich. He had all that money because he used Wexler's money to do things, to purchase homes in New York, Paris, the Virgin Islands, St. Thomas. You name it, he had a bunch of homes, 2 private jets, everything. Like, he was rich. Basically a billionaire, thanks to Wexler. So that's how he got his money, I believe, because he sure didn't get it from working, because I don't know, he didn't get it from working. I believe he got it from Wexler, from his money that he blackmailed him, and that's what I believe. That's what I truly believe. So Epstein, first victim. First victim was 14 years old, you guys. Okay, she became the earliest underage victim, formally accused Epstein of molestation, and she was the first Jane Doe. We don't know the names because at the time, all these minors were, I mean, all these children were underage, and their name had to be redacted or blackened out. So I read the police report of the statements of these young girls who were accusing Jeffrey Epstein of child molestation, excuse me, and sexually assault and everything. And what I can tell you, reading the Palm Beach police report is damning. Okay, I don't know how anyone can say these girls at the time, because they were underage, were lying. Because everything that they were saying, and there were different young underage girls, they were very consistent with their story. The description of Jeffrey Epstein's mansion in Palm Beach, how they described the nude photos, the nude artwork, the, the couch, the color of the couch, pink, and everything, like detail after detail. And each and one of them have said this exactly the same thing in this police report when the detectives were interviewing them. Okay, so you can't tell me that these young girls at the time were lying, because everything they were saying was right on. And I can give you an example. And I'm gonna say um, Sarah, even though that's not Sarah, because all the names are blackened, that they didn't want the names to be put on, because at the time they were minors, and I get that. So if I say Sarah, or not Sarah, yeah, Sarah or Mary, they're not really Mary. I'm just giving you a fake name because their real names are blackened out. So, oh wait, sorry. I just put this in order. Oh my gosh. But anyway, let me just tell you this. Like, they describe Epstein house as a two-story pink house. Okay? Had a Cadillac parked in the driveway. Some of the girls recall that the house was a dead-end street. Arriving to the house, stating that they walked up to the driveway, passed, and appeared to be a small guard security room. A male approached and asked them what they wanted, and they said they had an appointment with Jeffrey Epstein. The man allowed them to continue to walk up the house, and the man told Jeffrey Epstein was not there, but be expecting back. Then allowed them to enter the house and to the kitchen. Now, this is a routine. So every time a young girl but goes into Jeffrey Epstein's house, they wait in the kitchen. They wait in the kitchen with Haley and their assistant, Sarah Kellen. Now, Sarah Kellen is Jeffrey Epstein's assistant. She is his right-hand woman. She does everything for Jeffrey Epstein, to, making appointments for him, taking out the garbage, you name it, what assistants do. Okay, the assistants do everything, sees everything, and do whatever the bosses ask for. That's what Sarah Sarah Kellen is. Okay, she does exactly like that. Oops, let me find a thing. Okay, now I'm gonna go to the beginning. Now, this all started, like I said, March 15 through February of 2006. The police, the Palm Beach Police Department conducted a sexual battery investigation involving Jeffrey Epstein, Sarah Kellen, and Haley Robbs. Sworn tape statements were taken from 5 victims and 17 witnesses concerning massages and unlawful sexual activity that took place at the residence of Jeffrey Epstein, Palm Beach. Several of the victims were recruited by and brought to the residence by Haley to perform massages for Epstein, for which Robinson received compensation for that. So basically, she was like the pimp. She was like the pimp. Okay, she was pimping young girls from high school and bringing them to this pedophile, this predator. Okay, and she was getting compensated for that. It's not sick. And I'm gonna give Haley grace because she was young at the time, because she was basically molested by Jeffrey Epstein, and it says it on a report. I believe she was 17 at the time. Someone told two people told her about Jeffrey Epstein, Molly and Tony, and we don't know the last name of Molly and Tony. She don't remember that. This is when Haley told the investigator her story, and then she reported everything after. I guess she had a change of heart, whatever. But she was like the pimp, basically. And Sarah, the assistant, knew about it too. So I feel like they both were pimps because they both were involved. But I don't. I feel like Sarah knew, and she knew better that she shouldn't have done that because I believe she was older. Again, I don't know how old Sarah was at that time because it didn't say her age. But with Haley, I believe she was still a minor. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm going to give her a little bit of grace. A little bit of grace. But like I said, she was a recruiter. She was pimping, these young girls for him because she didn't want to be pimped anymore. She didn't want to, have any intercourse and involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. So she told Jeffrey Epstein probably, listen, I can find younger girls for you because Jeffrey Epstein told her he wants younger girls. To the point that she brought a 22-year-old to Jeffrey Epstein, and Jeffrey Epstein said she's too old. I'm like, and this says in a police report, too old. When I read it, too old. 22 is young, but he knew what he was doing. He knew what he wanted. He wanted a young and impressionable, young underage girl so he can mold, so he can groom, so he can control them, opposed to a 22 young woman. Some of them, not all, because no, maybe it all depends on the young girl. Okay, it all depends on the 22-year-old. Everyone is different. Some mature faster than others. Some can be naive. But when you have some 22-year-old woman who have their head on their shoulder, that know common sense, that know that something doesn't feel right, they walk, they bounce, they leave. Okay, opposed to someone that's very young and impressionable, 22, naive, that might, think that this is normal. You get what I'm saying? So everyone is different. A 22-year-old young woman might think this is not normal. This is weird. A 50-year-old wanted me to massage him. I'm not even a massage therapist. No, I'm going to leave because this looks very weird and suspicious. I'm out. Opposed to a 22-year-old, don't know no better. So he didn't want to take his chances. You know what I mean? Because what if it came back and bite him in the ass? So with the younger underage girls, in his mind, again, I'm just thinking outside the box how a crazy pedophile would think. I think in his mind, if he has like a young and impressionable young girl, they wouldn't say anything. They wouldn't say anything to their parents because he probably tell them not to say anything, not to tell people about your real age, lie about it, make them feel embarrassed and ashamed that it was their fault. I don't know. When you have a sick pedophile individual, they can say all these crazy things to young, impressionable young girls to manipulate them, to convince them that this is perfectly normal, and they will believe it. They will believe it because they're young. Obviously, when you're 14 or 13 or 17, you're young. You don't know. You're innocent. You're a virgin. You don't know no better. And that's what I believe. That's why he wanted young underage girls, and that's what he told Helen. But anyway, moving on. So then, where was I? Yeah. So during the visit, they would be introduced to Sarah Callan, which that's Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, like I said, and Jeffrey Epstein's assistant, who in turn would record their telephone number and name. So basically, why would she do that? Record their telephone and their names? I guess for reference to, just in case if they need them again for their services. The victims will be brought to Epstein's bedroom to provide the massage. Now, I'm going to skip this part because this part is very disgusting and perverted, and I don't want to read it, but you know what happened there, and I just don't want to read it. I just want to go further down because some of it is just very inappropriate, and I just don't want to read it, and it just makes me sick to my stomach that this actually happened, and the assistant will allow it. The system will allow this to happen like this, and it's just very disturbing and disgusting to me. And I just don't want to continue on. But I'm gonna read the next thing. Like I said, the reason why I believe this, and this really happened to them because of the details that the young girls described in Jeffrey Epstein's home. Like each one of them described the same thing. You can't tell me that they're lying. Like the routine. Once they're inside Jeffrey Epstein's home, they wait in the kitchen. Once Jeffrey Epstein's home, then they go upstairs. They see the new photos. They see the two-story pink house. They see all these details. I don't think all these details. I don't think they will make it up. And even the detective that interviewed these girls said exactly the same thing. So, and then they were like saying that at the time he was 45 years old, having a long face and bushy eyebrows with gray hair. Robinson and Epstein left the kitchen, alone, leaving Mary alone in the kitchen. They returned a short time later. They all spoke briefly in the kitchen. I don't know why in the kitchen, because it seemed like in a kitchen, Like I feel like it's like in a meeting in a kitchen. I don't know, but anyway, Mary was instructed to follow Kelly upstairs, recalling walking up a flight of stairs lining with photographs to a room that had a massage table in it. Upon entering the room, there was a large bathroom to the right and a hot pink and green sofa in the room. Let me stop right there. Every underage girl have said this in this report that they every time when they go upstairs, they see a hot pink green sofa in the room. In the room. You can't tell me they're lying. Then there was a door on each side of the sofa. Mary recalled there being a mural of a naked woman in the room, as well as several photographs of naked women on the shelf. Kellen told, which is Sarah, the assistant, told the victims that Epstein would be up in a second. Stop right there. Now, this is just a routine, you guys. So think, Haley find these young girls at school, high school, recruit them, tell them that there's a job, that she knows this millionaire who likes massages, and he can give you quick cash money for massages. Would you like the opportunity for this job? And then the young girl would say, well, what else do I have to do? Oh, you just have to give them a massage and do something, there and there. And then they said, cool, okay. And they're down for it. So that's what happened. And then once they're upstairs, Jeffrey Epstein have a towel on. Then he goes on, remove the towel, and then get on the table, the massage table, and then the young girl starts to massage his back, his feet, whatever. And then he turned around and then massaging his chest. And then I guess, Jeffrey Epstein started to get inappropriate and touch her butt, made her feel uncomfortable and weird. Then he stopped, and then he tried again, and then wanted her to take off her clothes, her bra, and everything. It's just sick. It's just sick and disgusting, and it's just gross. And what else? Like I said, yeah. I don't know if I can continue going on, but I'm gonna do my best, you guys, because some of this stuff is just very sick and disgusting, and I don't know how this happened for so long. How they allow this to happen and not say anything, especially the assistant. And there's some very graphic things in this report that I'm not going to read and I'm going to skip. So if you see me pause, that's the reason why I'm pausing, because it's just so graphic and I just don't want to read it because it's just so inappropriate. But I'm going to tell you bits and pieces of it in the timeline. So on October 20th of 2005, the investigators did a executive search warrant on Epstein's Florida home. As the case brings forward several other teenagers of sex victims. May 2006, police charged Epstein of multiple counts of unlawful sex acts and a minor. State attorney, Barry Kirkshire referred the case to the grand jury. Now, when he did that, And I have it here. Okay, Office of the State Attorney, Barry Kushner. It's like he was like doing like a settlement deal for Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I'm gonna share the link to you of the police report. This is very graphic. Like, why would you work a deal with this monster, with this predator, after all the test, not the test, but all the witnesses, all the interviews that detective have interviewed with underage girls that he paid. He's smart. He paid all of them cash, so there's no paper trail. Obviously, he gave them rental cars, not under his name. Okay, that's how smart Jeffrey Epstein is. Now, under his name, he used one of his co-workers, the person that worked for him, his oh gosh, I can't remember his name. His not butler, but there's another one. Those things around the house under his name, opposed to Jeffrey Epstein's name, to rent cars for the underage girls, so they can ride the, have the car so they can go to his house, if that makes sense. Okay, now everyone's gonna wonder why Haley Robson, what she has to do with all this. Well, according to her statement, she said that Molly and Tony, which we don't know their last names because their last names are unknown, told them about Jeffrey Epstein. And that's how she got to know Jeffrey Epstein, because they introduced her along with Sarah, the assistant. So I believe something happened with Jeffrey Epstein and Haley that she didn't like, to the point that then she started recruiting other girls because she didn't want to be part of it anymore. She didn't want to be part of, having inappropriate things with Jeffrey Epstein. That's when she started recruiting young girls. Now, where was I? Sorry, I'm just like all over the place. I'm trying to just make sure I have the timelines correct for you guys. Now, June of 2006, the grand jury here only one victim. After all the interviews and everything that these underage girls have told the detectives, okay, on June 2006, the grand jury only heard one victim, opposed to there was how many? Tons. One accuser, and indicted Jeffrey Epstein of one count of solicitation of prostitution, accusing the accusers from one victim, including minors. Now, why would you charge prostitution? A 16-year-old, a 14-year-old? Like, correct me if I'm wrong. They're not. I never heard of a 16, 14, 17-year-old being a prostitute. I'm sorry. That's just unheard of. Okay? These were minors. It's not like they were in a situation that they were kicked out of their home and then they had to be on the street to defend themselves. That was not the case. These underage girls, they were living with their parents. They were in high school, for goodness sakes. So how are they prostitutes? They were victims of sex trafficking, okay, at the age of 14. 14, 16, 15, 17. They're not prostitutes. So when they did this indictment of prostitution, solicitation of prostitution, I'm like, are you kidding me? That's what you're charging Jeffrey Epstein? Like, get serious here. Like, this is just so unfathomable. Like, I just don't get it how they did that in 2006. It's just crazy. Then in the summer of 2007, Jeffrey Epstein legal team and the prosecutor, they were trying to figure out a deal. To smooth this off so he can get off scot-free. And this is what Barry Kushner said, a letter that he wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, his attorney. By this letter, I am confirming the offer of the settlement to your client, Jeffrey Epstein. Should you accept the settlement, the state will not prosecute with grand jury proceeding tomorrow. Plead to aggravated assault with the intent to commit a felony, a third-degree felony, will be withheld in your client and will be placed on 5-year probation with the following conditions. No contact, direct or indirect, with the minor. They blacked the name out, so I have no idea who that victim is. with the victim. No contact with minors unless supervised by an approved adult with knowledge of the underlying facts. But with no case shall be supervised adult by Nana, Nina Markovich. Hopefully, I'm saying her name right. She's in this police report too. According to this Nana, she's a friend of Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, she's been doing some little dirt with Jeffrey Epstein and underage girls too. So she's been having inappropriate things with underage girls, and Jeffrey Epstein um, did like a three-way, you know what, business with her. Or Sarah Kellen. Okay, remember Sarah Kellen is Jeffrey Epstein's assistant to do a psych sexual evaluation and successfully completed of any recommendation of treatment. An evaluator must be approved by the Department of Correction. Full payment of the cost of the investigation by the Palm Beach Police Department may be applied for early termination of probation after 3 years if there is no violation and all conditions have been successfully completed. Now, this gets crazy, okay? This gets crazy. So this is the settlement, okay? Now, like I said, in summer 2007, Epstein's legal team was negotiating the terms, okay? And I believe this was the term of the settlement. But then you have U.S. Attorney Alexandra Costa, was a U.S. Attorney in Miami at the time, was trying to do a sweetheart deal, a plea deal for Jeffrey Epstein and the co-conspirators. And I believe the co-conspirators are Sarah Kellen, Nada I can't even pronounce her last name, so forgive me. Markova. Hopefully I got that right. To give him give him a deal, a sweetheart deal that it works for everyone. But does it work for the victims? And apparently they were working this deal out and they didn't tell none of the victims. They didn't tell none of the victims after the fact. Because imagine if you told the victim's family that they're doing a sweetheart deal, you think the parents would say, okay? No, they would not say okay with it. No, we're going to take him to court. We're going to fight for this. And he's going to go to prison and spend the rest of his life there. That's not what happened, you guys. They swept this underneath the rug. They didn't want the victim's parents to know that they were working on a sweetheart deal. Okay? They didn't want to know that. They didn't want to know that. So they were trying to give him immunity for all potential I can't even speak, conspirators, okay? Which is called Non-Prosecution Agreement, NPA, okay? Which I have here, okay? And I printed out the non-prosecution agreement, okay? And this gets wild, you guys, okay? And I'm going to read to you. And this what Alexandra Acosta agreed to. What about the victims? What about them? What they're thinking about saving this man's ass, protecting him, giving him the sweetheart deal, but they're not even doing that for the victims who got raped, who got molested by this predator, and among the co-conspirators who were involved in this. But they're giving this man a sweetheart deal. Something don't seem right. Something don't seem right, and it's not right. So here we go, and there's more names involved. So I'm just going to read you the sweetheart deal. In a consideration of Epstein's agreement to plead guilty to provide compensation in this manner to describe above, if Epstein successfully fulfilled all the terms and conditions of this agreement, the United States also agreed that it will not will not any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited Sarah Kellen. She's one of them. Andrea Ross, I don't know who she is, but I can tell you this. Andrea Ross, I've been seeing her name in the manifest. Remember what I told you about the manifest that I saw from from January 1st of 2005 to October 6th of 2005, her name is on the manifest, you guys. And I believe her name is probably in the flight log, but we can't read it because it's not legible to read. It's so tiny. But I'm telling you, her name keeps appearing on that manifest, okay? She is one of the co-conspirators. Leslie Koff, I haven't seen her name in the manifest from January 1st to October 6th of 2005. I have not. However, I've been seeing Nadia Markovich. I've seen her, and I've seen Sarah Kellen. Obviously, Sarah Kellen is going to be, her name is going to be in a manifest because that's Jeffrey Epstein's assistant. So obviously, she flew with him a lot and done a lot of things for him. So that's understandable. But she is involved in this because she's in this police report. So these names, they got the sweetheart deal. Okay, they got the sweetheart deal. They did not serve any time, nothing except for Jeffrey Epstein. They gave him what, 13 months? 13 months? They said 18 months, but it's like 12 or 18 months of what? He didn't even serve federal prison. He served like what, 12 or 13 months in jail, and after that he got early release for good behavior. But then he started doing it again. But didn't I just read that if he did take this sweetheart deal, that he will be, they will say that he would be in a sex offender, that he would be in probation, that he cannot be around minors. But apparently that did not happen, you guys. So all that crap went out the window because he would still continue to be around minors. He continued to have sex with underage girls. He continued to do all that because, correct me if I'm wrong, if you break the rules and if you're on probation, you go to jail. You go to jail right away. But apparently that did not happen with Jeffrey Epstein. It did not because he continued to do this for over a decade and no one didn't say anything. Everyone looked a blind eye and did and say nothing, which is just despicable. Which is despicable. That's why I believe that, the people that were involved, like Alexandra Costa, the former U.S. attorney, what did Jeffrey Epstein had on you? Did he pay you to work on this sweetheart deal and you just ignored the victims that were molested, that was human trafficking? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand how this happened, how this works. So basically, if you know someone that's have money and have high influencer and have power, that they can just get away with things scot free, and that's basically what happened. That's basically what happened. He just served like 13 months, and then he was gone. He was not registered as a sex offender because if he did, then he would have been arrested a long time ago. That's not what happened. And what's sad about this too, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein, they just learned about the plea deal on July 2008. They learned about it. If they knew, they would have acted on it obviously right away and put a stop to it. So then that's when they did an emergency crime victims right acts, and they started that because they felt like it was unjust. They felt like they didn't get justice. They felt like this man got away scot free, and he didn't have to pay for anything. He didn't have to pay for anything. That he can just continue to do what he's been doing for the last decade, and they they failed them. No, excuse me. The system failed these victims. They really did. That's how broken our our system is because they failed. It's like it's good for the rich, and then when it comes to the poor, and if it happened to a middle class person, they'd be in jail. They'd be in prison right now. But I guess when you have money and you have influencer, like I said, and then you have power, that you can get away with, having sex with underage girls and doing human trafficking, and that's it, which is completely disgusting and wrong. Now, in 2015, you probably remember just her name, Virginia Roberts, who filed, who said, excuse me, saying that Epstein forced her to have sex with members of high society, and she mentioned Prince Andrew a lot. And there's pictures of Prince Andrew holding Virginia Roberts on her waist with Ghislaine Maxwell next next to them. Okay. Now, Prince Andrew has denied all these claims that he was never with Virginia Roberts, that he never had any encounters with her at all. He doesn't remember when Virginia Roberts, she remembers vividly, like she was there. She had an encounter with him 3 times and had performed sexual favors for for Prince Andrew because Jeffrey Epstein told her to do that. Okay, so I don't believe him. I believe he has parts of it. To be honest with you, he was a party animal. He liked young girls supposedly, and he said he don't remember. He don't recall being with her, taking pictures with her, unless he has some amnesia or he got hit on the floor or on the wall. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just so sickened by how they can allow this man to get away with it for so long. It's like it's just so it's crazy. It's crazy. Like if you read this police report and like, oh my gosh, this man got away with all these things and there was no repercussion. There was nothing. He got that sweetheart deal and that's it. And I don't understand the assistants that worked with Jeffrey Epstein, like Sarah Callan and other co-conspirators that were involved in this. How did they sleep at night? Like seriously, how do you sleep at night each and every day knowing what you knew and saw and you did nothing? And some of them are probably married and have children, and it's like you have kids and you did this to another kid. And how can you sleep at night and thinking that that's okay and said nothing? Like the man is dead. Like what if listen, the man is dead. I will just like tell the truth. You know what I mean? But I guess when you sign a sweetheart deal, I don't know how that works. Can you go to the police or the FBI and tell them that the truth? I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how of the agreement lasts for. Does it last for several amount of years? It's been what? It's 2025 now, so I don't know how that works. But my thing is, I don't know how these women who knew about this and who were involved in this, how they can sleep at night. I guess well rested, because they have no conscience. They have no conscience. But trust and believe, karma is a real thing. What you do to others, it will come back to some way, shape, or form. And that's not me saying that. I'm not threatening anyone. I just want to make that very clear. But it does come back, okay? Because I just don't understand how another human being, a woman who's a mother, they're probably mothers, can say that it's okay. Because what if that was your daughter or your son? Would you allow that? Would you be okay with that if that happened to your kid? I don't think so. Because it's not your kid and because that's not your problem, because your boss is paying you X amount of money, you have no morals. You have no dignity that you allow this to happen and not say anything, not report it because it was Jeffrey Epstein, which is completely wrong. Because when shit hits the fan, and then when people, think everything dies down and then people just go on their way, getting married and having children, you don't think that it comes back to you some way, shape, or form? It always does. It may not happen a year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, not even 10 years, but it does come back. And it's very despicable and disgusting that no one's not being prosecuted. No one's not going to jail. Only one person is serving time for 20 years, and that's Ghislaine Maxwell. Hopefully I'm saying her name right. Okay, she's the only one that's serving time. No one else is serving time. Jeffrey Epstein is dead because he got killed. Okay, no one else. So how is that right? One person is serving time for 20 years, and the rest is just out there just living their best life. And the victims just have to deal with it for the rest of their life. How's that fair? It's not fair, and it's not right. I feel like all the co-conspirators who were involved, they should go to prison. They should break this non-prosecution agreement. It should be non and void because Jeffrey Epstein is dead. But you never know. They probably signed something. I don't know. The only thing I print out is just the non the deal, the sweetheart deal. But there's no signatures. Is there? Let me see. Hold on. No, I only see attorney signatures. Sorry, and Jeffrey Epstein signatures. But I don't see Sarah. I don't see Nadia. I don't see Leslie Koff. I don't see none of their signatures unless it's separate. But I'm thinking if it's a sweetheart deal, that their names should have been in there. But I don't see them. I just see Jeffrey Epstein and his attorneys. So I don't know. You know, if they did sign it, then I guess that agreement is good for forever. But what I'm saying is, I don't feel like that's right. That only one person is serving their time, but the rest is not. And I feel like the people that were involved, they should serve time too. The names should be released, and I believe the files will never be released. I feel like they're stonewalling Pam Bundy. I feel like they're stonewalling the FBI, Cash Patel. We will never know. Okay, I'm just going to be completely honest again. We will never know the truth. The files will never be released to find out what really happened. It's just it's just a whole big mess. It's just ridiculous, and I'm just saddened for the victims. You know, I don't want to call them victims because there are survivors. There are survivors of Jeffrey Epstein. They're telling their story and their truth, and I 100% believe them that this really happened to them because every statement that I have read was very consistent. They were very detailed at Jeffrey Epstein's home. They, the detectives, you know, pull out, you know, messages from the trash from Jeffrey Epstein's home at the time. Everything which I printed out. Some of them I could not read because it was not very clear. But everything that the victims, the survivors have said were spot on in the truth. And they get no justice. They get no justice out of it. Everyone is just, you know, living their best life, sleeping in their fabulous pillow, and just like they dodged the bullet. They're saying, yes, he's dead, and we dodged the bullet, so we don't have to serve time. No one will never know. They don't know the name. They will not release the black book. They were not going to release any information, and it's been going on for how long? How long? It's just despicable. But then they're going to like try to, you know, find things, dirt on the Tate brothers, which don't make no sense to me. You try to put evidence on the Tate brothers when there was evidence against Jeffrey Epstein, and you did nothing. They did nothing. Our law system, our justice system has failed these survivors. They really do, and they need to do better. They absolutely need to do better because it's just not right. And I hope and pray that they learn from this, that if God forbid if this happens again, that they will believe the survivors, they will believe the victims, and take action and prosecute everyone that was involved, whether you have money or not, because it should not even matter if you're a billionaire or if you're just a middle class working person. Okay, it should not matter. It shouldn't matter. What's right is right, and you have to follow the laws. I don't give a damn how much money you have, what you do. I don't care. If you break a law, you have to serve time. Just like, God forbid, if I break a law, I have to serve time. I have no exemption, and neither the billionaires or the people who have money. You're not exempted. You're not exempt, okay? You're not God, okay? You're just a human being, just like everyone else, and you deserve to be punished to the T. You feel me? Be punished, okay? And I feel like none of them were punished except for one person who's serving her time. And it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. It's just pitiful, you guys. And gosh, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. But I just wanted to share with you my information and what I have encountered and printed out, and tell you about the police reports and this sweetheart deal that Jeffrey Epstein signed and the co-conspirators. And you know, it just makes me so mad that they got away with this. They got away with this, and they will never ever serve time. I that's what I believe. I believe they're never going to serve time. I believe that there's not going to be any justice for the survivors, and it's just not right. It really sickens me. It really does. It really sickens me that this this happened to them and there's no justice. There's no justice for this. There's none. Epstein's dead, so who can they go after? Because some of them signed this sweetheart deal. You know what I'm saying? They can't go after anyone unless you know the U.S. General Attorney finds something, Pam finds something to convict some of these people that were involved. Release the black book. Release the names. The FBI have the names. I don't know what's going on or what they're waiting for. But again, like I said, that's never going to happen. The names are not going to be released. It's not going to be released. It's not. And it's sad. And I don't know what else to say, but it's not. But I have one more episode to do, and that is episode 3. And I'm going to talk about what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Was he killed or was it a suicide? And I'm going to go more in detail about that on episode 3. Thank you so much for watching my podcast, Cheryl. That's it. And I will see you guys next time. Take care and God bless.